Hey YouTube, what's going on? This video is to show you 6 flashlights that I have that I would consider all pocket size carries, and which one I carry, which one I prefer, and why. What this video is not intended to be is a detailed review on any of these flashlights. I'm not going to go through all the emitter options, all the cost options. I'm not going to go through all that. This is just simply to look at what I have in my collection as far as pocketable lights. And I have other pocketable lights as well, but these are the ones that I consider my small pocketable lights, and what I like to carry and why. And just to get it right off the bat, I do carry all of these, but there's one specific one that 90% of the time I reach for when I'm going somewhere. So first we'll start with my FireflyLite E07, which they also used to be called Fireflies. You may be familiar with them. And you may notice one thing right away, and that is this glowing blue light coming from it, and that is an auxiliary light. So it's a pretty neat feature. Basically, it's just kind of like a glow that stays on all the time. You can do a button command with 7 button presses to turn it off, or to turn it on flashing, or to turn it on a dimmer setting. I've got it on the high setting right now. And as you can see, the button stays backlit as well. It's just a really nice light. This is one of the 2 lights in this handful of lights here that I would consider more hobby or enthusiast grade. They go beyond, you know, your standard what somebody would just buy. But yeah, so it's got a pretty decent clip. It's the biggest of the 6 here, so you do feel it a little bit more, but I still feel that it is pretty small when it's in your pocket. I really don't feel it much. It's only the head. So what I've got on this is I've got a 519A emitter, which if you're not familiar with that, it's probably the most popular emitter currently. It's got a really nice beam profile. And I have this Dedome as well, which means that all these emitters in here, there's 7 emitters and they're all Dedomed. And that basically just allows it to throw a little bit further, and it changes the tint of the light a little bit. It's got a really strong magnetic back on it. So when I want my light to have a magnet on it, if I take this one with me, I know this is gonna uphold. Like, this thing is super strong, the magnet that they stuck on it, and the light just feels great. So it's got a great beam profile. It's a good feeling light. It looks really nice. You know, this is a light that's going to get some compliments if you pull it out, especially if you turn it on and they see what it's capable of doing. But it's a really nice light. It feels good. It's the biggest of the bunch is all. And then I also have this right here, the Wurkkos HD15. And if you don't have a light that looks like this, a right angle light, I highly recommend that everyone has at least one of these, whether you are into collecting flashlights or not. It's just a great tool to have, to be able to have a flashlight that you can use hands-free. It's got some nice features on it. It's got the green glow in when you got it on, but mainly it's got a spotlight and a floodlight. So if you turn them both on at the same time, it's going to combine the two and give you good spot and flood, or you can separate them to where you only get a floodlight or you only get a spotlight. And I think that that's what really helps this stand apart from some of the other right angle lights. It's got a magnet in the back, not as strong as that FireflyLite's magnet, but it's still got a magnet. Great clip. Actually a really pretty good clip considering. But yeah, so this is a good light. I'm not a huge fan of the Wurkkos finish the material that they use on it. I feel that it scrapes off really easily and you get down to the bare metallic, but that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. It's intended to be used. It's a work light. So but yeah, so that's one of the lights in my collection. And again, I'm just going to give a quick look at what each of these are, and then I'll tell you what I use the most and why. We've got the Sofirn SP10 Pro, really small light. Got that little tiny button on there. Most notably, I'd say with the FireflyLite, and then also the Sofirn, and then a couple others in here you'll see. These have Android. I've talked about this in a previous video, but basically that is the go-to user interface. It's extremely customizable. I'm not going to break it down right now, but anytime a light comes with Android, it basically just opens the door for a ton of opportunities for things that you can do with the flashlight. So to have a light this small in your pocket that's really tiny and that has Android is a pretty neat feature. Pretty good clip, pretty standard. I have used this while bicycling before. Before I got my headlights on my bicycle, I just clipped this right to my ball cap and it worked just fine. So yeah, good light. That is not magnetic on the back, so that, you know, is a little bit of a downside right there. But yeah, it's super tiny and it dissolves right in your pocket. You won't even realize that it's there. Here we have a KR4. It's by a guy that is frequently called Hank. Don't know if that's his real name or not, but they're called Hank lights. He makes Noctigon and MSR, which are his two brands. So you'll see this is the Noctigon KR4. I would consider this as well more of a enthusiast grade light or hobby grade light. You know, your standard, you know, most people that are going out to just buy a flashlight are not going to immediately go out and buy a Noctigon. But it's a really neat light. As you can see, it's just, everything's aesthetically pleasing. It's got a really nice clip on it. I don't know how well I can put it on video, but it's got just a really nice finish. The material on it just feels really good in hand. It's got this really just great button on the back. Everything just looks really good. It's got auxiliary lights. This one even has, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can switch between colors on it. You can even leave it on a color rotating mode. So pretty neat. And this light I actually have de-domed as well, like the E07. So it's got a little bit better throw. It warms up the tin a bit. But this one I have extremely warm. I got this in a very, very warm color. I don't know if we'll be able to tell on this video, but it's very, very warm if we were to look at it outside. And I think down the road we will do a video where we just look at this KR4 and just see how just great this came out. But yeah, very, very warm. I'm actually not a huge fan of warm lights. I know most of the hobbyist enthusiasts are, but I wanted at least one where I had that was extremely warm like that. And that is also in 519A, by the way. I forgot to say, so this one's 519A, the FireflyLite. The HD15 I've got in SST20. The SP10 Pro, I believe, is LH351D, if I remember correctly. The KR4 is in 519A. Here we have the Sofirn SC32. This is an SST40. So it's going to be really similar to the emitter that's in the HD50 or HD15, except it's a little bit bigger head. So I believe it's what, from 2 millimeters to 4 millimeters. But yeah, so the SST40, and yeah, so this has a little bit of a bezel on the top. Not a whole lot. It's not rough in your pocket or to touch, but it's enough to where if that head gets dropped, you've got some bezel there to protect it. I'm always a big fan of that. The texture on it is really great. Like this, I'll show you here. This diamond knurling, which is completely fine. There's nothing wrong with this diamond knurling, but this is the common, what you see on a Sofirn light. But this Sofirn just came out so different than anything I've seen them really do in a pocket-sized light. So yeah, so it's just different, but it feels so great in hand. It's got a great clip on it. It actually came, not gonna lie, it came pretty loose from the manufacturer, but I was able to tighten it up really quickly and easily, and it wasn't an issue. You will see there is a little bit of that matte finish on it. It does come off a little bit around the clip. It's got the same button on the TS10 we're about to talk about, but it's just a bigger version. Feels great in hand. I liked the button when I first got it, but now I love the button. It's also got that little USB-C right there, and you'll see when I turn the light on, it's got a battery indicator. It's non-intrusive, so Great Light SST40. And here we have a Wurkkos TS10, which also has the auxiliary. I've got it on a very low mode right now because the high mode on it is very bright and I don't think it'll show up properly on the video. This isn't your standard one. Most of the time it's going to come in like a black or a red or one of your basic colors. This is in brass. But yeah, so it's a little bit different, but I've also got this in 519A emitter. So it's kind of a common theme. If I can get 519A, I'm usually going to because it's a great emitter. And you'll see it's the same button there. It's just smaller. Feels a little bit different in the brass too, but still feels good. Same clip that was on that SP10 Pro, at least as far as I can tell. But yes, but this also comes with Android, and it's just got a lot of modes on it for a small little light. I mean, this thing's tiny. It's actually even a little bit smaller than the SP10 Pro. And it might not be able to tell on video, but I mean, both of these are so significantly small that this one is just absolutely tiny. Especially for the output that it can come out with out of a small light like this. So these are my go-to pocket carries. I've talked in other videos about, you know, my side switched and tactical lights and ones that still fit in your pocket but are a little bit longer. But these are my lights that I consider to be a little bit more of my, hey, when I just want something that's really easy to stick in the pocket. And I've got these in my case. I've got them all in the front row where I can just grab one of them out. But what's the one that I carry the most? And I'm going to be honest with you, and this might upset some people, but I go with the Sofirn SC32 90% of the time. Do I love all the rest of those lights? Absolutely. But this light is awesome. It feels so good, and the more that I use it, the better that it gets. I have a love-hate relationship with the emitter because, well, I have only a love relationship with the emitter, but I'll tell you why. There's also a little bit of frustration there, and it's because Sofirn continues to use SST emitters, and it really depends on your binning, but they come out either really green or they come out just right, or occasionally you'll get them a little bit green, but it's usually either really green or just right. The SST20 on my Wurkkos HD15, green. The SST40 on my Sofirn SC32 is not only not green in the slightest bit, but it almost has a little bit of a pink tint to it. I love it. It looks so good. It actually doesn't look great against that brown, against the brown case back here. But yeah, I'll have to do a nighttime shot. I might just do a full review of this flashlight by itself as well, just because I love it so much, and I'll get you guys some actual good beam shots where you can see just how pretty this light is. When you get a good bin SST40 in this, it's perfect. I mean, it's got the I think it's called Fresnel lens, if I'm remembering that correctly. But it's just got such a great beam profile. It looks so good. Not only does it just throw really nicely, but like just the actual profile of the beam, it looks great. This is one of those ones that really is so usable. I would even go on to compare this with a much more expensive Zebra light. The Zebra light also makes some very small 18650 lights that can compare to this, and I think that this can actually compete with it. But the problem is that most people that did give this light a chance, they ended up with a green emitter and they got rid of it right away, or they didn't like it, or they dismissed this light, and that makes me so sad because this is a great light, and literally the more I use it, the more that I love this light. I really, really love the Sofirn SC32. I just wish that they would have went with an emitter that was consistent so that everybody could have got a good emitter in it. And sometimes it just feels like I only got one. I see so many people posting their green emitters, and I'm just like, I promise I got a great emitter. But yeah, this light is just so perfect. The button, the more and more that I use it, the more that I play with it, it feels so good. I actually just enjoy clicking the thing. It feels so good. It's got a really, really dim moonlight mode on it. So the moonlight looks great for me because I like a really low moonlight on a light that I'm going to carry often. Like I said, it feels great. The clip's great. It's got just the perfect amount of bezel on it. You know, the USB is not intrusive at all. The LED indicator is real small, and it just feels so good in pocket. Like it's tiny. It really is. It's not as small as something like this TS10, of course, but this has an 18650 battery in it, and it's putting out something this small. This is probably one of the smallest 18650 lights on the market. So this is what I go with, and as you see, like, not everybody's going to have the same options as me. Your FireflyLite E07 is probably not going to be in the same settings as mine with a 519A Dedome like this, and in the same color temperatures that I get. You know, like I think I've got this in, I want to say it was 4000K Dedome, so that's going to bring the color tint down from there. This one is, might even be 2700K Dedome. It's really warm. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll have to look it up what I got on that. But yeah, but this is a really neutral. I think this is either 4000K or 5000K. Might be 5000, which is right in the sweet spot for me. So this is what I prefer. So this isn't about, hey, what should you get? This is just letting you know, here's what I've got, here's what I like, just to kind of give you an idea and just to see some different options and what they look like. Because I mean, FireflyLite, Noctigon, Sofirn, these are very, you know, a few of these are very different brands, and it just gives you some options in some different categories. And I'll just show you real quick because I'm noticing this here. These two are pretty close in size, the KR4 and the SC32, but the KR4 has got some weight to it, and you can also see that it's just thicker in the top and the bottom. This one has like no weight to it. Like this feels so good in pocket. Nothing against the KR4, I can carry it easily, but this is just so good. I love this light. So yeah, that's pretty much, just kind of wanted to show you guys what I'm working with. You know, this is a little taste of what's in the front of my case here. I'll see if I can kind of adjust the camera, but you'll see I've got a Apache case back here, and it's got some different lights in it, but this is just what makes up some of the front row, is my easy grab and goes for pocket carry size lights. But yeah, so this was just a little bit of a, hey, here's what I've got and here's what I like and why, but all of these are great. Would I recommend every single light here? Absolutely. You don't have to get them in my same settings. I'd say these two lights right here would be my go-to recommendations for somebody starting out wanting to get a small flashlight. Get this in something regular, just get it in black or red or white or something like that. But getting a small android light that has a lot of capabilities, or just getting something that really, in my opinion, hits the nail on the head. Yes, it doesn't have android, but honestly, it's just so smooth, and the user interface on it is so simple between just a regular high, medium, low, just basic settings, that this is just the perfect light. And I think it honestly blows my Wurkkos FC11 out of the water, just being honest here. But I do love Wurkkos. This is a Wurkkos light right here, so don't get me wrong, but I'm just honest in my videos, that's for sure. So my Sofirn SC32 is my go-to. All great lights. I will leave you with one thing. The one light that really surprises people when I pull it out and I turn it on turbo, honestly, out of all these, is the SP10 Pro. This, when I turn on turbo, I've heard the most amount of wows from when people see how much this really lights up out of such a tiny light. That's really shocked some people. So that LH351D is a pretty cool emitter for that light. So yeah, thanks for watching.